Let's talk about how to deal with failure. Now, inevitably, whenever you're starting your side hustle, whatever it's going to be, you're going to get failures along the way. You're going to feel like this thing that I've put out is not very good. Or let's say you're designing websites, you're going to feel, oh my God, this website is not very good. Or I got rejected when I bid for a project. You know, one of my side hustles was learning close-up magic. And I once tried to perform in a restaurant and it was the worst experience of my life because my first trick failed and everyone looked at me like I was weird and I was just like clamming up and inside my shell and was like, oh my God, I can't do any more tricks in this restaurant. It's one of those things that really teaches you a lot. Like that's how I would approach dealing with failure. It's like reframing it from failure to becoming a learning opportunity. Because to be honest, when we succeed at stuff, we don't really learn anything. It's our failures that we actually learn from. And there's a lot of evidence that the connections form in our brain as a result of failing at stuff and then kind of practicing until it gets better. This is the idea of deliberate practice that loads of people have talked about. There's a book called The Talent Code that talks about it a lot. Basically, the idea is that we want to be operating at the limit of our competence. So we're slightly out of our comfort zone at all times. Let's say I want to learn the guitar, which is the thing I'm trying to get better at. But the thing I'm tempted to do is I'm tempted to just play along with the songs that I already know. I learn absolutely nothing by playing along with songs that I already know. I only get better at playing the guitar by working on songs that I find difficult. Equally, if I'm singing a song that I already know, I'm not going to learn anything. But if I sing a song that I know it's hard, like, a song where they're really high notes or really low notes, or if they've got vibrato or anything like that, I'm far more likely to be better at it because I'm more likely to fail. So that's one way of dealing with failure, by reframing it as a learning opportunity and recognize that learning only ever happens when we fail at stuff. The other thing we want to think about when it comes to dealing with failure is what our friends and family and the people around us are going to think. And there's an analogy that I quite like, which is the crabs in a barrel analogy. Now, if you imagine like a barrel filled with crabs, the thing that's interesting about that is that, I don't know how true this is, but like the image in my head is that anytime a crab tries to escape the barrel, the other crabs will try and pull them down because the other crabs don't want any one individual crab escaping the barrel. They want them all to be kind of wallowing in this barrel of despair. And this is kind of like what a lot of our friends and family are like. Unfortunately, it might be the case for some of us. When we do something that steps outside of our comfort zone, pushes the boat out there a little bit, risks the feeling of failure, we're going to get our friends and family trying to drag us down. This is apparently a thing. I think Oprah talks about this when she kind of lost weight and was on the process of losing weight. A lot of her friends who were also overweight were trying to pull her down and trying to get her to kind of be fat again, because it just changes the dynamic when one person sort of escapes the situation that the rest of them are in. Equally, I know of a few YouTubers and a few bloggers who've started their thing, and a few of their friends have been like, hey mate, isn't it a bit cringe that you have a YouTube channel? This was the case for me. Like when I first started my YouTube channel and I was vlogging around medical school, people would say to me, oh my God, Ali, put the camera away. And it would be a real sense of like, how dare you have the audacity to push the boat out and do your own thing? But the interesting thing about that was that given that I kept on going with it and was okay with that, that cringe response, I was okay with that feeling of kind of being judged by my peers. It didn't really happen that much. It was like 1 or 2 people, but it felt like a big deal at the time. But because I was okay with it and kind of pushed past it, then like a few weeks later, those same people were saying, oh my God, Ali, can I be in a video? Or can I be in the thumbnail? Or things like that. And that's something that I always like to remember whenever I'm worried about kind of failing publicly or failing at some people and like what people around me are going to think. That firstly, it's kind of a small minority of people anyway. Secondly, like the crabs in a barrel analogy, like the crabs are going to try and pull you down, but you got to rise, like Dark Knight Rises style. You got to rise out of the barrel and do your own thing. So hopefully those are some useful tips for dealing with failure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.